Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy L Train back with another video. Today we're going to talk about why it's important for you to develop a rich mindset. Now, this is not the type of rich that you normally would think of this money and wealth and cars and things like that. It's rich in a different way, as in righteous, intelligence, creative, and humble, having a rich mindset. So let's start up with the first one, righteous. I think it's important that you try to do the right thing at the right times to help people out. If you see something that is wrong, if you see somebody being treated wrong, I think we all should do a better job of saying something and doing something, because we already live in a real cold and cruel world. So if we can do our part to make this place better than it was before we got here, I think that's a really realistic goal that most people can do. You don't have to be super wealthy or super famous or celebrity to do the right thing. So being righteous, trying to, help people out, try to make the environment you're in better by treating people the right way. I think that's important. So that's part of the first part of the rich mindset. Secondly, intelligence. There's different forms of intelligence. So it doesn't really matter if you're Jeopardy champion or you got a 4.0 or you're a doctor or, you have a bunch of degrees or you're great at like trivia or something. There's different forms of intelligence I think that are important for this rich mindset. And for example, it could be street intelligence, knowing what parts of town not to go to, being wary of people staring at you. If you're moving in a different city, you're moving to a different town, maybe you lay low for a while to get a better idea of the environment you're in. These are different type of intelligence. Or you could be a person who reads a book every week or a couple books a month, or you could just be someone who's into different types of conversations. It could be about geography, it could be about science, it could be about nature. You just like information, you like learning about other people and other places. So there's lots of different ways that you can use intelligence to be a helpful citizen in this world. It doesn't always have to be about a college degree, or you could be a high school dropout. You could still be a very smart person or a very stupid person. You could still do smart things and still do stupid things. So emotional intelligence could be another component. If something bad happens to you, how do you react? If something good happens to you, how do you react? There's always going to be obstacles and challenges in life, and how are you going to maneuver through them with your emotions? Are you overly emotional? Are you very stoic? There are a lot of different ways that people show emotion. There are different ways people react to different scenarios. So, having street smarts, having emotional intelligence, maybe financial intelligence about, money, because right now, what's going on in the world, especially here in the United States, people are really feeling it in their pocketbooks and their bank accounts. So maybe being smart with your money and how you invest your money, how you spend your money. Maybe you're not going out as much as you're more. Maybe you're going out even more, but maybe you're being more selective with the people that you're with. There's many different forms of being intelligent. These are just a few that I just wanted to outline. Then the creative mindset. And this is where I think why I named this channel Creative Mindset. It's not because that you have to be the most creative person in the world. It's just that you have to be able to use some of your creative gifts or talents to express yourself. And it could be through art, it could be through painting, it could be through writing books, writing songs. It could be, you could be very creative with public speaking, or you could be a creative person who organizes things, and you're good at, having parties, or you're having fundraisers. You're good at bringing people together. There's so many different ways that you can be creative, especially to help out your community, your area, your city, your town, your country, whatever you reside at. And then I want to talk about being humble. And I want to use an example as well. So just the other day, I was walking to a store. It's like a local grocery store. And in front of the grocery store, there's these machines that take your cans and bottles back. So there were two gentlemen, probably right around the age of like maybe mid-30s, and they were arguing over the cans or the money. And it was probably literally an argument over like maybe 10, 15 cents or something. So they're arguing. I'm walking into a store, but there's another gentleman walking in front of me. And he's an older gentleman. He's probably in his 50s, maybe late 50s, early 60s. And as this gentleman's walking into the store, one of the two guys who were arguing says something to the older gentleman, like, "Hey, what the fuck are you looking at?" He's like, kind of swears at him. And the older gentleman kind of stopped, looked at him for a couple seconds, and then just kept moving right into the store. And I kind of realized at that point that this older gentleman, I think he was actually being very humble. I think he knew that they were being disrespectful, but he didn't want to escalate a situation out in public with two random men that he doesn't know. So I think he took the high road. He could have said something. He could have, escalated the situation. But I think he kind of swallowed his pride and says, you know what, he probably came to the store to get some groceries or some things. What is the sense of engaging two guys arguing over 10 cents or 15 cents of cans and bottles? And I was walking right behind this older gentleman as well, so I was kind of just watching to see how this was going to play out. And it kind of brings me to another point about being humble. Live in a first world country in the United States where we have a lot of things in abundance, and we may complain about who is getting richer, who's getting poor, who's really making the decisions. And this year's an election year, so it's always ratcheted up a little bit between Team Red and Team Yellow, and the political ideologies that get thrown around and the name calling, and a lot of people kind of get sick of it. But at the same time, you got to realize that there are a lot of people who don't even get the experience that they have a dictator or authoritarian or some type of government where they're really just telling you how it is, and you don't really get to vote. You don't really get to say. You don't get to participate in your government. So you can still remain humble that you may not like your options. You may not like the process at times, but understand that it's still probably the best government in the world, even though it doesn't seem like it's operating at that level a lot of the time. Also, living in the United States, or some other people who live out in the West, or even out in the East, depending on your level of income or status in life. When you have electricity, I'm talking through a phone right now, through the internet. These things we kind of take for granted. And there are people who don't have water. There are people who don't have resources. And we can complain about our lives, and we can complain about the minor things that go wrong. About you didn't get a promotion, or someone said this about you online. But there are people really struggling out here. People who are living day to day, looking to find the next meal or find a safe place to go because maybe their country's at war. And I think that's important when we look at the bigger picture sometimes. So I try to remain humble when I see a lot of things on the news, when I see things happening that necessarily doesn't affect me, but I know it's affecting someone else, and try to remain that, hey, if I'm going through a bad day, someone's probably got it a lot worse than I do. I grew up in a pretty good upbringing. I grew up in a middle-class area in New York, so I wasn't overly rich, but I wasn't overly poor. And I really am glad that I had some of the struggles I had, because I know what it's like to not always have a lot of money or not have a lot of resources, but at the same time appreciate them when you get them, and when you achieve certain things. I think that's important. So these are just 4 components I thought about when I was making this video of having a rich mindset isn't always about having a car or money or a Rolex. Now, if those are the things that you want to get, because those things are cool and dope, then sure, go after them and go get them. But you can also shift your mindset and think of, how can you be the best person for your people, for your community, for your family, your co-workers, or if you run a business, how can you be a better owner or CEO. It's all about leveling up and trying to improve every day and every week, every year, with a positive mindset. That's what this channel is preaching. That's what I'm preaching. So stay righteous, stay intelligent, stay creative, stay humble. That's the message for today. Peace. We out.